In this video, we will be backpacking and fish in Owl Creek Canyons, located in Bears Ears National Monument. We will be hiking in the heat of the dry desert and camping in the cold night under the stars. There will be really cool rock formations such as Nevills Arch, and at the end of the hike, there is an extreme climb at a fish canyon. We had made it to a turnoff for Owl Creek, and this road is very muddy because it rained a few days ago. We will be on this road for about 10 miles to the trailhead. We had made it to the Fish in Owl Creek Canyon trailhead, and now let's go over our plan. So today, we are going to descend into Owl Creek Canyon to Nevills Arch. Tomorrow, we are going to confluence with Fish Creek Canyon and ascend up it. And then we are going to camp at the Natural Arch. On the third day, we are going to hike out of Fish Creek Canyon and go back to the trailhead. We are now starting the hike, and today we have an 1,000-foot descent and a 50-feet ascent, so it will be basically downhill the whole way to Nevills Arch. We had made it to the Owl Creek Canyon rim, and now we are going to have to descend into the canyon. It looks like the trail is going to be really steep for a while until we get to the bottom. We had now made it to the bottom of Owl Canyon. Route finding was very hard. We went the wrong way several times. Our total descent is 500 feet, and we have gone 3/4 of a mile. Right here is the first place where you can filter water if you're backpacking. It is approximately at mile 1.32 from the Owl Creek site. We have been hiking for 1.5 hours because the terrain has been very rough and hard to navigate through. Right in front of us is a huge waterfall, and we are going to have to make a loop around it. We have only gone 2 miles in 2 hours due to rough terrain, but in about a mile, the trail condition should get much better. Right here is the big waterfall we had to bypass. This is also the biggest waterfall on the hike. It is flowing pretty good because it is springtime, and that is when the water is the highest. We had made it to our spring. This spring is the last one for a while. The next one isn't until the confluence between Fish and Owl Creek. Also, we only have about a mile to Nevills Arch, and we had gone 3.5 miles, and the terrain should be pretty flat the rest of the way to Nevills Arch. We had made it to our campsite, and up there is Neville's Arch. We had come 4.79 miles according to the map because we doubled back so much. The true distance is 4 miles and a quarter. We are now going to have dinner, then we will go for a little walk, and then we will look at stars when it gets dark. It is now time for dinner, and dinner tonight is beans and rice. We are now gonna go on our walk. We are going to walk a little ways on the trail we are doing tomorrow, and the orange on the pinnacles and the arch look really cool. We have come about 0.15 miles from our campsite, and now we are going to turn around. We had made it back to our campsite, and as soon as the sun goes down, we are going to look at stars, which won't be for another 2 hours, probably close to 8 o'clock. Today is day 2 of our backpacking trip. Today we are planning on traveling a long way to a natural edge because the trail will be mostly flat. We only have a 455 ascent and a 258 descent. There should also be an easy trail to follow all the way until we meet up with Fish Creek, but after that, the route finding will be difficult like yesterday. The weather today is supposed to be really hot, even though it is cold right now. That is the typical weather in the desert. It is now about 10 o'clock, and we are now starting our hike. We had just about made it to the Fish and Owl Creek confluence. On the other side of that wall is Fish Creek Canyon. As you can see, we are in a much more open section of the canyon now. Yesterday, it was all closed and you could not see that far. Also, the trail conditions had gotten much better. We had gone about 1.5 miles in less than an hour. Right here in the cacti is a desert spiny lizard. They typically shelter in cacti to avoid predators such as owls and snakes. We had officially made it to a confluence of Fish and Owl Creek. This also marks the low point of the hike, elevation 43 feet. As you can see, the environment is much more deserty down here, more cacti and sagebrush. Seeing the lizard is also a sign that we are in a lower desert environment. The temperature is also warmer too. Now we are going to ascend in the Fish Canyon, and here is our hiking status. We had made it to an Owl Spring, and this is the first one on Fish Creek where you can get good quality water because the other ones that we passed by were very murky. We had come about 9.7 miles from the trailhead and 4 miles into the day. We are a little over halfway to the natural edge. These last miles will be very hard because it is hot outside, about 75 degrees. Also, there's going to be lots of overgrowth. we had made it to our campsite for tonight, we decided not to go to the natural edge. The edge is only about a half a mile away though. We had gone 7.5 miles today and 12 miles in total. There is lots of water in this section of Fish Creek, and that is the reason why there is so much overgrowth. The temperature is still in the 70s, but as soon as the sun goes down, it will drop fast. Now we are going to eat dinner and watch the sunset. It is now time for dinner, and tonight's dinner is Bombay potatoes. The sun is about to set now. We are not going to look at stars tonight because of the moon, and there are clouds in the sky. The moon will be rising here in a moment. It is the final day of our trip. Today, we are going to ascend out of Fish Creek Canyon. We have a 1,200-foot ascent and a 200 feet descent. We will start off with a steady climb for about 3 miles. Then, we will climb out of Fish Creek, which is about an 800-foot climb. After that, it will be flat all the way to the trailhead. There is supposed to be overgrowth today until the climb. There is also supposed to be lots of water too. The weather today is supposed to be partly cloudy and 75 degrees. We are now leaving our campsite. It is about 9 a.m. and we only have 5 miles to go to get to the trailhead. We have come a mile on the trail and we still have not seen the natural edge. We think it is behind those 2 rock pillars somewhere, but it seems very hidden. Right here is the last time we cross Fish Creek. However, we have about a half a mile before the big climb. This half-mile section is going to be a lot like Owl Creek with all the steep drops. Also, the environment has changed a lot since the bottom. It is much more luscious up here because of all the water, and here is our hiking status. We had made it to the Fish Creek Ascent, the hardest section of the hike, 800-foot climb in a half a mile with heavy packs. We are already halfway up, but the hardest section is still yet to come. Now we are at the section where you only hike on sandstone. Right here is the 12-foot vertical climb, which is the hardest part of the Fish Creek Ascent. We had finally made it to the top of Fish Creek Canyon. Our elevation is 62.53 feet, which marks the high point of the hike. After the 12-foot climb, the trail started to flatten out a bit. This is also the first time you can actually see really far because we are in the canyon. You can see the Bears Ears in the Abajo mountain range. And now we only have 1.5 miles to the trailhead. We had made it back to the trailhead, and I will give the summary when we get back to the car and on the way home. We had made it back to the car, and now it is time for the summary. So, we went 17.9 miles over the 3 days, and our overall hiking time was 14 hours because of all the route finding. The total elevation change was 2,100 feet. The temperature varied from 38 to 75 because there are big temperature changes in the desert. The overall difficulty of the hike was hard because there are big climbs to get in and out of the canyon, and route finding was hard. Now we are going to drive through Bears Ears National Monument a little bit and then drive home. Right there is the beginning of Fish Creek Canyon. The elevation is 6,800 feet. This gas station up ahead is very weird. It is called Jackass Joe's Jerky, and it is located on the exit that leads from Moab to I-70.